In this video, we're going to talk about dry lines. Dry lines are one of the 5 frontal boundaries that we talk about in meteorology, except dry lines isn't talked about as much since it's more of a southern plains weather phenomenon that occurs. Dry lines are boundaries between continental tropical air and maritime tropical air. So they're two heat sources, or they're two hot air masses just with two very drastic humidity differences. And because of this, they often generate some severe thunderstorms. And so when we look at a picture of a dry line on a weather map, here what we notice is that if we have a center area of low pressure here, just imagine that there's an L right where my mouse is, we see that there is a warm front extending in front of the center of low pressure, where all the maritime tropical air is actually moving north into this region. And remember, that's why the semicircles point. It's the direction that the front is moving in. Now, back trailing behind the center of low pressure system, we have a cold front. So notice that we have continental polar air that it's moving its way down towards the south. But here we have continental tropical air down near the southwest corner of the United States. So this boundary here that looks like a modified warm front is actually denoted as a dry line, and it separates the continental tropical air from the maritime tropical air. And so what you notice here is that all the temperatures on both sides of the dry line are running in the mid to upper 80s. So it's still very, very warm, but the main difference is you have dew points on the continental tropical side, you have dew points in the mid 50s. So that's very dry air, or relatively dry air. And here on the right side in the maritime tropical section, we have dew points that are in the low 80s or upper 70s. So this is really oppressive air. This is oppressive humidity. This would be almost like you could, when you go outside, you feel like you can drink the air almost. So this is very, very hot and humid air versus hot yet dry air. So the reason why dry lines are so useful in creating thunderstorms is, like a cold front, you have density differences. Remember, hot and humid air is lighter than even hot and dry air. So this continental tropical air that is moving into the region of maritime tropical air is going to sink down to the surface while forcing the maritime tropical air aloft. And when you have that, you have these thunderstorms that really develop along that boundary. What you also notice here is that the winds on the maritime tropical side are coming out of the south. On the continental tropical side, they're coming from the south-southwest. So you almost have this convergence between the two winds. And this is what is denoted by the dry line. And this is why meteorologists know where to draw the dry line, because they can look at the wind direction and tell, and they can also look at the dew points. That's the biggest indicator. And they can use those two informational pieces to figure out where to draw the dry line. So in the next video, what I want to show you is what a dry line looks like in real time. So this is a satellite image of a dry line, and so I'm just going to play this for you quickly. And so what you noticed here, you can see all these cumulus clouds. They look like very, very fine, almost grainy particles. These are cumulus clouds, and you noticed, I'm going to back this up, you noticed here in the animation that these cumulus clouds are traveling from the south to the north. Now this is in Nebraska. Now back here you have a nice stratiform cloud deck, and you know that it's not necessarily moving, or it's moving very slowly down towards the south. So here, where you have this sharp cutoff in cloud cover, you have your dry line. And what you're going to notice is that when the dry line moves ever so slightly and encompasses the maritime tropical air, that is going to cause a lot of thunderstorm formations. So here you notice right in this area, now you see all this bubbling occurring. All these clouds are bubbling as this dry line moves further south. This bubbling is convection. This is what thunderstorms look like from space. It looks like water boiling because convection works the same way, whether it's air or it's water. So that's what a dry line looks like in real time, and that's why they're so great for causing severe weather.